Hi guys, we're back for our proportion and percent workout number 13. We are still working with triangles. Remember, we're working with similar triangles, which means that shape is the same, ratios from sides are the same, angles are the same, but they are not the same size. Okay, so we're looking for B. B matches up with 5 here, and the 3, and I'm going to make just two little marks here, matches up with the 2. So let's start with Mark. Mark wrote 2 to 5. So he took the short side and the long side of the same triangle. So he has the bigger triangle written here vertically. So this is the big one. Okay. Then he said, I know that this 2 needs to match up with a 3, but he gave himself some room here. Okay. And so he divided 2 by 2 to get to 1. So we are also going to divide 5 by 2. And when we divide 5 by 2, we get 2.5. Half of 5 is 2.5. Then to get to 3, we're going to multiply by 3. So let's multiply 2.5 times 3. Here's 2.5 and 2.5, 2.5. We could add them up actually because 2 plus 1 gives us 3, and 5 plus 2.5 gives us 7.5. So remember, we can use a combination of the multiplicative relationship, the multiplying, or we can add across. And I'm going to write in red what I did. So I did 2 plus 1 equals 3. So 5 plus 2.5 equals 7.5. Okay, so we are assuming that 7.5 is our answer. Let's see if Mary got the same thing. So Mary did 2 to 3 here. So notice she did 2 to 3 here. So this is actually the short side here. So she lined up on the short side, but then the big triangle is here across the top because she knows that 2 needs to get to a 5, and then our answer will be underneath the 5. Okay. Um, all right. So let's see how we did this. Okay. So she went from 2 to 1 by dividing by 2. So we're going to divide 3 by 2, and that gives us 1.5. Um, Now, 1.5, to get it to 6, she had to multiply by 4. So we are going to multiply 1 times 4 to get to 4. And then she added across. 1 plus 4 gave her 5, and 1.5 plus 6 gives us 7.5. So we got 7.5. Both Mary and Mark got 7.5. And so let's see if Molly also. So since Molly said, since the 3 is 1.5 of 2, so she looked here and she said, I know that 2 times 1.5 gives me 3, right? So that means that B must also be 1.5 of this, right? Of 5. So 1.5 of 5 is 7.5. So the answer is 7.5. So you could have easily, once you know that relationship, you could have multiplied 5 times 7.5. Now, did anybody notice that the smaller triangle has the bigger numbers? Did anybody notice that? So that means that the triangles are not written to scale. They're not drawn to scale. So do not rely on the size necessarily. Make sure you're matching up the sides and the numbers, okay? And because this is actually bigger numbers on a smaller triangle. And they just do that to trick you up, okay? So be mindful of that. So our answer is 7.5 all the way across. No strategy is better than the other, okay? Just depending on however you look at it and however you see it. Problem number 2 says given 2 similar triangles, find n. So we're looking for n, which is marked as C on the paper. Crazy. So we're looking for n or C. So we're just going to make this an n. Okay. So let's start with Mark. Mark did 4 and 11 right here. So he's lined up that triangle here. He knows the 6 matches up with the 4. So he's put it here. And our answer should happen right there. Okay. So to get from 4 to 2, he divided by 2. So I'm going to cut 11 and a half, and I get 5.5. Because half of 10 is 5, and half of 1 is 0.5. So half of 11 is 5.5. Then to get to 6, he added 4 plus 2, and then 11 plus 5.5. And that gives us 16.5 when we add. You could also say, oh, well, 2 times 3 gives us 6. And 5.5 times 3 also equals 16.5. So you don't have to add across, you don't have to add your columns. You can multiply if you see the multiplicative relationship. I just wanted to show you that multiplying 2 times 3 to get to 6 is the same thing as 4 plus 2 to get to 6, and 11 plus 5.5 to get to 16.5 is the same thing as 5.5 times 3. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that if you're adding across and your neighbor is multiplying, you're both going to find the right answer. Okay, let's hop over to Mary and see what Mary did. So Mary started with 4 and 6, so she lined up the matching short sides here. She knows that the 11 lines up with the 4, so she put it down here and gave herself some room to work it out. So the first jump she made was from 6 to 18, and that is multiplying by 3. So 4 times 3 would give us 12. We went from 12 to 2, so that's dividing by 6. So let's take 18 and divide it by 6, and we get 3. Our next jump was to 1. We know that to get to 1 from 2, we divided by 2, so we cut it in half. And half of 3 is 1.5. And then when we got here, you could get to 11 a couple of ways. You could multiply 1 times 11, or you could do 12 minus 1 is 11. I did the minus, and I'm going to show you where I did my subtraction. I did 12 minus 1 equals 11. And then I did 18 minus 1.5 equals 16.5. Just because I don't like to multiply decimals. But either way, 16.5 is the right answer, no matter if you get it by adding across or by multiplying. And then our last and final strategy is Molly. And Molly said, well, I know that 4 is 2/3 of 6. So 11 has to be 2/3 of something. Half of 11 is 5.5. So 3 times 5.5 is 16.5. I'm going to be honest, guys. Most people don't think like Molly in their head that way. Okay. And even though Molly has got a lot of thinking written down, she's also having to do some math because most kids cannot do half of 11 times 3 in their head. Maybe y'all can now, though, that we've done all this because y'all are super smart. But my suggestion would be to follow either Mark or Mary. And their strategies really are the same. They just broke the numbers down differently. All right, our last one is problem number 3. Given 2 similar triangles, find the n. I would like you to set up. And so if you are watching the video by yourself at home, please push pause, work it out, and then unpause when you're done. If you're in class, your teacher is going to shut it off. I'm building a little blank ratio table here just to give y'all a little hint. I had to work out a few spaces there. So that looks like a fishbone, doesn't it? Okay. All right. Well, you're back. So that means you have solved. Hopefully you got the right answer, but we're getting ready to fill it out. So we'll see. I started with 5 and 4. So 5 on the top, 4 right here. If I was in my class, I would expect to see some writing here with words. So I would say this is the long side and this is the short side. Okay, long side, short side. This is my given triangle. And then I know that the 12.5 matches up with the 5 because they're corresponding sides. Okay, so our answer is going to occur right here under 12.5 after we work out our ratio table. So since I see a 2.5 in here, I knew I needed to have a 2.5 somewhere. And I know I can get 2.5 pretty easily by dividing 5 by 2. So I did that. So I divided 5 by 2. and I got 2.5, like so. And I divided 4 by 2, and I also got 2. This is getting me pretty close. So I added across. I did 5 plus 2.5, and I got 7.5. And then along the bottom, I got 4 plus 2, which gave me 6. Now I know that I can add 5 and 7.5 equals 12.5. And so that means 4 plus 6 equals 10. So my answer is 10. And we could do some multiplication across multiply and divide to check our answer, however you want to get to that answer. But we know that 5 divided by 4 is 1.25, and 12.5 divided by 10 is also 1.25. So we're getting that same ratio with our equivalent fractions. So we know that 10 is spot on. So hopefully you got 10 as well. If you didn't, hopefully you understand now how you should have gotten 10. And I will see you again for lesson 14.